On today's show, Morez Johnson Jr. didn't come to Michigan with the lofty expectations to be a top 10 pick, but then he became one. Isaiah Hole from Locked On Wolverines will tell us why. Today's Locked On Mavs.
This is Cooper Flagg, and you're listening to Locked On Mavs.
All files.
Nothing as important as winning in sports. All about winning. I will win in Dallas.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
All these changes.
Your team every day.
You know, I still got my dog, the White Power.
And welcome. You're Locked On to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt. Today's episode brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Again, bringing on Isaiah. We're going to talk about Dusty May, of course. This is what I originally was going to bring him on for, to talk about Dusty May, what he's like as a coach, why he's more of a teacher than a tactician, so we'll talk about that. But of course, we'll start with talking about Morez Johnson Jr., what he brings to the Mavericks, him guarding 1 through 5, is that real? What it looked like when he first got started at Michigan to what he ended up being by the end. And so let's get into it. Let's hear from our guest today, Isaiah. All right, welcome in from Locked On Wolverines, Isaiah Hole. Isaiah, we just took your whole play. We just took your whole flow. The Dallas Mavericks with Dusty May and Morez Johnson. We have a theory that was kind of their idea the whole time. Morez Johnson was your favorite player on the national championship team last year. Give me your why. Like, what made him rise to the ranks of like a really likable player like Yaxel, Adai Morez, like a unique player? What made Morez the guy that you really latched onto?
Well, I mean, first, did you want more? Do you want Trey McKinney, or do you want us to?
Who else you got? Who else is out there?
We'll just give you everything. I mean, I loved Morez because he, number one, felt like he has the highest ceiling, and even though it didn't, out of everybody, his athleticism is certainly, I think, the highest out of everyone. And I just loved, like, when he was on, he was like basically unstoppable. And like he would do a little bit of everything in terms of like scoring, defense. Like he would have the most violent and aggressive, like, oh, that guy tried a 3-point shot. It didn't go in. And it's like, oh, out of nowhere, here comes Morez Johnson with the most violent dunk putback that you've ever seen. Right. He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. He started actually having a little bit of a 3-point game. Yeah. He was reliable when it came to going to the free throw line. He was like, he's a shooter. He's a down low player. He was an aggressor. And then on top of that, you got the personality. Like, you've seen these Michigan games. After every game, he's standing there mean mugging behind Dusty May every single post game. It's like incredible.
And Dusty May gave it back to him one time, right?
Yeah, he did. So it's like you get a little bit of everything from him. You get the violent style of play that you love to see. You got, just with that, the athleticism. You've got the ability to shoot from all around, kind of like, yeah, he's not going to go out. You're not going to see him be like Rip Hamilton and start draining a bunch of mid-range jumpers or anything. But like, like a pick and pop every now and again. He's open beyond the arc. Like you're going to see him, drain a few of those. Maybe it will increase since he's only had 1 year of really kind of doing that. Can be a center type player, even though he's 6'9". Does just everything. And I just thought, like, okay, like Yaxel should be the favorite. He should be the guy that I center around. And I loved Yaxel, but like there was something about Morez, like you didn't know what you were going to get every single game, but like more often than not, you were going to get some like of those spectacular highlight reel type of plays.
You mentioned, when he's on, he's on, and you can get some insane stuff from him. What does it look like when Morez Johnson Jr. is on?
I mean, it looks like when he's on, because he might not even be on for a whole game. That's kind of the weird thing, is like he might, you might even have like a scenario like, obviously halves in college basketball compared to quarters, but like you might look at the first half and be like, well, he didn't appear. Why is there no Morez? And then the second half, you're like, at the end of the game, look at the box score, like, well, Morez had 24 points. Like he's a little inconsistent, but like, I mean, he can be your offensive force. He can be the guy that just suddenly, like, okay, we're in a little bit of a tight battle. He can be the guy that, like, there were some games, I think it was the Illinois game, which is against the team he transferred from. If memory serves, it was that game. It was either that or Michigan State. They all run together to some degree, where it's like the first 10 points were Morez. And you're just like, okay, like, but you didn't see him much after that, but like no one else could do anything except for Morez Johnson. So he often has had moments where he can just take over a game and then will also take over the game defensively. Now you have the other side of the coin, however, where there are times where it's like he couldn't play worse on either side. Where against Purdue in the Big Ten championship game just didn't exist. And when he did exist, it was like, please get him off the court now, please. So you have that few and far between. It's very few and far between. But you'll have a game or two where you're like, has this guy ever played basketball? Like, should I take him one-on-one? Because I think I might be able to. And then like the other like 90% of the time, he's like an unstoppable force that no one can do anything against.
Is it the on when you say it's the ones where you're like, get him off the floor? Is it defensively? Is it offensively? He doesn't give you anything. It's everything. Mistakes on turnover. Like, what is it?
It's literally all of that at once. Like it seems like when he is off, he is off. And I've seen that where it was like, I think it was that Purdue game, if memory serves, where it was like he didn't finish at the rim and they really needed it. And then he's on the other side of the court and he commits a like stupid foul. And then like they get the ball back and he mishandles the inbound and turns it over. And you're like, that was a terrible sequence of events all by one guy. And it seems like when he's off, it's just like it's mistakes compounding. And I think that has a little bit to do with youth, right? Because you have to remember he's the youngest of the 3 lottery picks for Michigan. By not by far. Adai is not that much older. He's much young. They're both much younger than Yaxel. He's only coming off of his sophomore year. He's only had 2 years of college basketball and only 1 year as a starter. He was a bench player with Illinois. So it's still needing some time on task a little bit. And I think like you see that with, obviously I'm paying more attention to Michigan players than anybody else at their trajectory, but like you see that even like with a Franz Wagner, where it was like, yeah, he had a couple really good years at Michigan, gets the NBA kind of quiet initially, and then eventually grows into being like, yeah, he's their star player.
Yeah.
I think the same for Morez will probably happen.
And the thing with Morez too, that he was talking about in his introductory press conference yesterday, is that he didn't start playing basketball till like 6th grade. So he went from like, just started playing basketball, then like going into his junior year, he was like, oh, I'm actually going to get recruited. And then Illinois started talking to him. And then all of a sudden he's, at the biggest stage, like, 7 years later after picking up a basketball, he's on the biggest stage with Michigan. What did you expect from Morez when he first transferred over, when Dusty May got him to go from Illinois to Michigan? What did you expect when he first transferred over? And then how did he go from that to what he ended up becoming in the championship game?
I think he was the first of the transfers that they got. It was either him or Elliot Cadeau, but I think it was Morez was the first one. So it didn't really feel like they needed because it kind of felt like Will Shetter was going to be taking that step forward and going from being a 6th man type to being a starter. So it kind of felt like a luxury pick to some degree. So it's like, okay, they went and got a guy who was a bench player his freshman year with Illinois. This feels like a depth piece. It didn't feel like he was necessarily going to be like that, the guy. But then the more that we started getting some kind of offseason reports and became obvious that he was intending to be a starter right away, it was like, okay, no, he's going to end up being maybe a potential force. But he was also injured late in the offseason. So it was like we didn't really get to see him at media days when they had an open practice. He was it wasn't in street clothes, but he wasn't doing anything like that we were able to see. But like the way they talked about him was like, okay, no, he's going to be incredible. And that was probably the least of the transfers that I felt was going to be that. And then he comes out the opening game and scored like 30. It was like he was the absolute force straight away. I think that probably had a little something to do with what my opinion was the subversion of expectations, right? Like I did not expect, based off of a lot of what was happening and what the essentially my internal narrative was about him, and only to see like they completely just different. So I didn't have massively high expectations. I certainly did not think that if you were to tell me, heck, if you would have told me Monday that the first player picked off the board was Morez, I didn't even think that was possible. Because it was kind of it was kind of reversed for Michigan, right? Like everyone thought it was going to be a die, then Yaxel, then the Morez, and it went the opposite. I think he definitely rose above expectations in a big way. And I think he rose above his own expectations. I mean, I had people who knew what his thought process was going into declaring for the draft. Like his intention from everything I had heard was he's going to go, he's going to find out where he is, and then he's going to come back. And he made it very kind of clear that my sources were right, but because of just like the way he talked about, like he was borderline recruiting a Di Mara to come back to Michigan for another year.
Yeah. Dusty was trying to get Morez to come back, and then all of a sudden Dusty went, then Morez went.
Yeah, it's so like I don't think even he expected to be in this position where everything went. Like, I mean, like I know we were talking about the season, but just like from this time last year to where we sit right now, I think it's just a lot different than what I think anyone expected, including Morez. I don't think Morez expected to be here.
Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. There are more live events than ever before. Games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. If you just go to the Game Time app, you can go look at all the different things that are happening all over the place in DFW. You know that there's always going to be interesting things. Oh, Skillet. I remember Skillet. They're coming to DFW again. You can go see them. You can go see all kinds of musical acts. Obviously, you can go see a lot of sporting events. I've used Game Time a ton to go see Dallas Wings games and to see our girl Paige. But sometimes it can be difficult to try and find a ticket that works on different apps. I once had a situation where I got a ticket to an event and I got all the way there and the ticket didn't work and the company didn't make it happen. They didn't get my ticket and I wasn't able to go to the event, and that sucks. And that's why so many fans are turning to Game Time. The app is built to make buying tickets simple with upfront pricing and the seat views, so you know exactly what you're paying for. You know exactly what you're paying with exclusive savings opportunities to help you get to the events without all the usual hassle. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with any type of event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. We're also brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of different systems together when none were ever actually designed to work together. This is like the Dallas Mavericks in their draft room or right now in free agency, trying to figure out what they're doing. Can't imagine if the scouting department's over here, the front office is over here, the advanced scouts, the college scouts are all in different places. They couldn't talk to each other. That could be your business. You got one app for accounting, one for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That just isn't good business. That's where Odoo comes in. It's the all-in-one business software management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team stay organized, move faster, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software, trying to figure out all that. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. odoo.com/lockedon. Again, try it for free at odoo.com/lockedon. That's the crazy thing about him that you mentioned is the trajectory. So like he came in as this bench player, and then like, I think that Dusty May and obviously the Mavericks were in on Morez before they even hired Dusty May. And so I think that this goes way back, that they saw, all right, he's this, but he could become this. You know, he came in as a guy that wasn't going to have a big offensive load, but maybe you can give him more. Maybe he could have those nights, like you said, where he drops, all of a sudden he's got 24 points. He mentioned in his introductory presser that he's like, hey, I didn't show at Michigan that I can put the ball down on the floor a little bit and do some things and attack the rim and things like that. And so I think the projection of him and the trajectory of what he can become, some people have said, okay, he can become like Al Horford, he can become like Bam Adebayo, things like that they're looking at a potential for him. Because some people would look at this pick and maybe say, oh, he's a defensive guy, he's a hustle motor, high motor type guy. Oh, this is a safe pick. But I think this is like a high ceiling pick that he can become something insane. What did you see from how his growth and like the trajectory of him throughout the year?
I mean, throughout the year, it's almost, though, it's funny because like there wasn't much of a trajectory to some degree, because it was just like he came out of the gates and was just phenomenal. Like, and then it just was like it kind of just continued to be that, like he didn't necessarily have like this arc where you're looking at it and saying like, okay, he took this step forward and then this step forward. I mean, maybe, I'm sure internally that they would say that, but like his defense was great. His, like, all the things that I loved about him at the end of the year were all the same things I loved about him at the beginning of the year. So it's, I think maybe just like one of the things that you might want to look at, I guess, is just the fact that he was able to remain mostly, even though he was streaky and had inconsistencies, he was mostly consistent. And I think that's hard for a guy who wasn't a guy playing 40 games in a year.
Yeah.
The year before. And suddenly, and he wasn't a starter, and now you're a starter, and now you're playing 40 games because you're playing the max amount of games at Michigan, winning the national championship. And yet there were only like a handful of those games where it was just like, it would have been nice if he wasn't there for this game. I mean, everyone has that. It's not a unique thing to him when I say that. Like, everyone has off nights. But I think that ultimately you just saw a guy that just grew into being able to do what he did best more often than not when he wasn't ever really called upon.
One of the big things he also mentioned in his press conference was his superpower is like guarding 1 through 5, guarding point guards, guarding centers, guarding all over. What did you see in him guarding those different types of positions? Would you agree that he was able to do that when asked?
Yeah, because you did see him flow out to the perimeter. You did see him, kind of mostly defending a little bit from anywhere from mid range to to under the basket, right? Like I said, he can be that center type, even though he's 6'9". And there were times where Michigan played him as a center, and there was never okay, he's just getting dominated by someone a couple inches taller than him, and that never happened. It usually was more so the opposite, right? Like, he was still able to get those blocks, and maybe not as prolific as Adai Morrow was, but certainly someone that you would rely on to be like, okay, if someone's down low, Morez is there to defend. And to me, it's like you mentioned Al Horford and Bam Adebayo, but at the same time, for me as a mid 2000s Pistons fan, I think I could see a lot of maybe a little bit more down low, but actually, I guess this is what I'll do. Components of both Tayshaun Prince and Ben Wallace, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not full Ben Wallace, where Ben Wallace can't score unless he's dunking, and but is pesky defensively.
Yeah.
And maybe not so prolific out on the perimeter as Tayshaun Prince, but played with the same kind of violence that both had, has the ability to knock things down, has the ability to really be pesky defensively against anyone he goes up against. I mean, just generally not tasked to go up against guards, but he'd flow out and be able to defend that. And he's not the type of guy, because he is athletic, right? He was probably the most athletic guy in the combine. So that allows him to be able to, to move, to be able to, he's not going to get caught stuck in the mud against a fleet-footed guard.
Right.
He's going to be able to move with him. So that's what I've essentially seen.
Let's move over to Dusty May. When in the reaction episode that you had to Dusty May going to the NBA, first of all, you were shocked, and I was feeling for you. I was like, oh man, I feel for you and all Michigan fans. I was like, dang, that is tough to think that the guy's coming back, he's recruiting, he's doing all these interviews, and all of a sudden, bam, he's in the NBA. That was wild. But you mentioned that he's more of a teacher than a tactician. Where did you see him, and in what ways did you see him as a teacher, as a coach?
Well, you just saw it in a lot of the development, and just the ability to he wasn't really he would talk X's and O's and all of that kind of stuff, but it was a lot of it was just the technique and fundamentals, right? And that's what he wanted from his team, was to be fundamentally sound and to not have off nights where the fundamentals were getting the best of them. So it usually when you see that, and oddly, I just talked about that on the football side on today's show, but usually when you see that, you see teams get a lot better. But that's the only place where I have questions about Dusty, because you've seen him, every team he's taken over has been, I mean, he took over an 8-24 Michigan team into the Sweet 16, roster changes, but not as, and yet lots of roster changes, but still he was in a spot where everyone said he'll be lucky if you can, take that nothing team to the NIT and they're in the Sweet 16. So, yes, he does have some schematic advantage stuff. Obviously, he loves his bigs. He'll play two bigs at the same time. I mean, he played Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden at the same time. He played, you got Adai Morrow and Morez Johnson, which, I mean, I understand center forward scenario, but I mean, ultimately, you just saw more of the just kind of the the school teacher mentality. I don't know if I can quantify it well enough to really be like, okay, there's an example, but like, it's kind of like, you know it when you see it type of thing, where it's just, it was a lot more like, let's make sure you all know the game to the utmost, and some of the rest will take care of itself, because you'll have a better understanding of what I'm thinking and what you're capable of within the confines of what we're trying to do. So I think that and it was a shock, because like, I mean, I saw Trey McKinney that night and I asked him, I said, did you expect this? And he said, no. Like, it was like that. It wasn't just like it wasn't just like, no. It was like, he looked like he was at a funeral all day.
Dang.
And yeah, like we got that show out. It was funny just because it was like, I was about to do a recruiting show, football recruiting. And I'm like,
well,
I was like asking a colleague, I'm like, what don't I know about Victor's weekend? And then like, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to start recording. I'm an inch away from hitting record. And then the news breaks, which no one saw, 0 people. Man. 0. I mean,
we didn't think it was going to happen. Like I had heard that they had talked to Dusty May, they had talked to John Shire from Duke, and then it was like, oh no, those guys aren't coming. Dusty May's got this verbal agreement to go back to Michigan, so I was like, okay, well that was just out of my head, and then all of a sudden it was like, boom, it happened, which happens with college coaches more often than I think people realize, where they're like have some kind of agreement and then leave, which is wild. I maybe point LSU's way with that.
Well, yeah, because college is so different now, and it's like I'm trying to explain to people. Everyone wants to blame Michigan athletic director Ward Manuel, and it's like I'm not trying to seem like I'm a Ward Manuel slappy, because that like angers Michigan fans, but it's like what was Ward going to do? Because like Dusty basically had an agreement that was like, stay here as long as you want, write your own number in, right? And it had nothing to do with what Michigan had to offer, but it's like when you're essentially in a landscape that is just worlds different than what it was when you started as a coach, and you thought you were getting this, which is already busier. It's already more time consuming and headache inducing generally to be a college coach than it is in the NBA.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the college landscape changes to this whole like unfettered free agency every single year. Like you can you can go get whoever you want, but you also might lose your entire team. And you went from spending all of your time, doing what you love, which is coaching. And I talked to a source who said it had basically changed to like 60% of his job was roster retention.
Yeah.
And so like like all of a sudden you have longer, harder hours, and you're not really focused on the thing you were hired to do. And now someone's offering you the ability to do what you want, to do the thing that you were planning, what was on your job description. They're going to give you as much, if not more money, and you're going to have 50% more free time. Gee, let me think. Which one am I going to pick?
You do have to play twice as many games.
Yeah,
you do have to do that, but
you do. But like,
did you hear that? I went back and listened to a ton of interviews from him, and I could hear that part of the job was wearing on him throughout this, especially this past year.
Yeah, and I mean, you knew it was, but he just kind of eventually got to a point. I think the last interview he did that was public before all of this was with Jeff Goodman on Field of 68.
Yeah.
And like he was being asked a bunch of this stuff like tournament expansion, transfer portal, and it was like he started sounding resigned. Right? Like, and I just thought, okay, that just means he's resigned, right? Like he was saying stuff like, yeah, like if they expand the tournament, whatever, like I'm easy. Like they can do it, but like I felt like that was a different answer than what we would have gotten from him like a year ago, where it'd be like, absolutely not. This is a sacred thing, the NCAA tournament. And I just think like the transfer portal and all of that, just because you started hearing him just kind of be like, yeah, because I think he was so good at it too. Like he was like quite literally the best at it of any coach. Has the track record for multiple years of just, yeah, he's people acted like, yeah, Michigan bought their championship. It's like, okay, no one was talking about Morez Johnson as being a lottery pick difference maker.
Right.
Like no one was talking about that. So part of that was the development as well. So, yeah, you started to kind of see a little bit of like, well, that's a different mentality from him. in some of these off-season interviews when he was talking about the things that are changing in college sports.
Last thing I'll ask you here is the personality of Dusty May. What are Mavs fans getting in the person of Dusty May?
Well, I mean, you saw the picture of him sitting in the videos, sitting in front of the MSU student section. Like,
great moment.
I mean, it's you've got a guy that doesn't back down. He's very open. I didn't go to that many press conferences in person as some of my compatriots did, just because I can get it online. I don't have a lot of questions in basketball compared to football, where I'm a little bit more actively involved in the process. But I mean, like, he'd answer anything openly and honestly. Like, he'll give you scheme, what have you. He doesn't shy away from hard questions. He's not like elusive rather. He's congenial. Like, I had a little bit of a relationship with him outside of everything, because I ran into him right after not long after he got hired on the set of ESPN College Game Day before the Texas game. And, so like I'd run into him every now and again. And like, I was never like, this is a different thing for a media person, but like, I was never felt like I should not approach him because he is the Michigan basketball coach.
Yeah.
Right. Like Jim Harbaugh had a very like, don't look him in the eyes type of mentality. Dusty May was kind of like, why don't you come and sit by me? Like what, like, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And like on the court, like, I mean, he's calm and steady too, right? Like he's not Tom Izzo. He's not out there screaming at the refs all the time. Like, he might be talking to the refs. There might be things that he disagrees with, but like, he's getting in their ear, but not in a like obnoxious way. Like, he's not, aside from that MSU game, he's not a troll, but like that kind of also showed like a fearlessness of, the last thing he necessarily had to do was go and have a like kind of a photo op moment. And he was aware what he was doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yaxel just talked about that in his pregame, or not pregame, his post-draft interview, if I'm not mistaken. So like he knew what he was doing. And, so like, you've got a guy that's just kind of fun and open. And I'm curious to see how that works in the NBA, because like, that is kind of the one thing is like I said, he's not necessarily like I come with this one scheme that, like, he does have scheme, but like, it's not necessarily like, and this is college, but this isn't like he doesn't come with like a Shaka Smart, like, I do something different.
Yeah.
He does stuff different, but it's not like that's worlds different. And he was so much more of a player developer. I'm curious how that's going to work, especially with his congeniality, but he also is someone that all of the players loved a lot. So you wonder, like, to some degree, could he be that next, Larry Brown to a degree of like, you're going to do everything right and you're going to love me, and maybe you'll hate me for moments, but you're going to love me more than you hate me.
Go follow Isaiah Hull and go listen to Locked On Wolverines wherever you get your podcasts. Good stuff, Isaiah. Anything you want to plug?
Just the podcast, right? We're doing 5 days a week, even though it's the off season. So we've got lots to talk about, apparently more than I bargained for.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.